A Friday morning away from home for a conference, and Fay Lang, before heading out, takes a minute for what she herself describes as
what is arguably the most difficult part of my day, getting ready.
the part where she washes up.
I go through a lot of soap.
Because it's never just a minute. First, it's her hands, and then it's the faucet. And because cleaning the faucet means she just touched it, it's her hands again. And then it's her face, and then it's her hairbrush, which she goes at with extreme thoroughness.
So I like to get in between the bristles as best I can. Kind of take them by rows.
And after her hairbrush, it's her jewelry. And at 20 minutes in, having cleansed this corner of her world of all death-inflicting germs that probably aren't there but could be, then she arms herself for the world outside with a refill from her massive traveling supply of Purell.
Just going to refill it here, make sure I have enough for the day.
And the name for all of this, it's called OCD, Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, and Fay has it.
Now, let's go put it in my purse. OCD can control basically everything you do.
Did that happen to you?
I think I would say took up like 85% of my day. Made it. Done with that.
But it's never really done because there's still that doorknob between her and the conference downstairs.
Avoiding touching door handles is something else that's really comforting.
But wipe in hand, she makes it through, and she's off.
Locked.
To the annual gathering of the Obsessive Compulsive Foundation.
I find the need to write things down perfectly.
A 3-day session, this time in Minneapolis, of workshops and lectures.
I have to check under the bed a certain number of times to get the fear away.
Where OCD, the fourth most common form of mental illness,
I would spend 45 minutes to an hour in the shower.
Is treated like something of an adventure.
Come this way.
Literally, with one of the highlights being this man in an Indiana Jones hat leading a troop of OCD sufferers on a make-believe camping trip through the halls of the Minneapolis Hyatt.
Is everybody ready? Go! Run!
And that man in the hat, well, he also does some serious lectures. He's Dr. Jonathan Grayson, an authority on OCD.
OCD is both a biological disorder and a learned disorder. And basically, the person is going to have obsessions. Obsessions are what they're afraid of.
So remember Fay and that doorknob? Well, it is every doorknob she ever encounters.
Fay, what does a doorknob represent to you?
Possibly thousands of people touching them, and who knows what kind of diseases those people may have.
But you also know that most of us, probably most of the time, aren't getting sick from them. Do you know that?
Yeah, deep down I do realize that there probably isn't that big of a risk, but still the fear is there.
We shook hands when we met. Did you want to go wash your hands after we shook hands? And I won't be insulted if the answer is yes.
Promise?
I promise.
Yes. In fact, I'm kind of fighting the urge to use the hand sanitizer that's very close to me right now.
But OCD is not always or just about germs. It can be any thought that makes you anxious and that will not go away.
There's a lot of checking things. Are the doors locked? Is the water running? There are people who have a really nasty form of perfectionism, students who want to do their work perfectly.
Which sounds like that would be a good thing.
Right, except that you then have a paper that you never finish because it's not perfect.
Jonathan Grayson has some theories about that, and that's what's behind this virtual camping trip throughout the hotel and beyond. It's a shortened version of an actual camping trip he leads, where they experience a therapy he calls exposure.
Exposure is, what are you afraid of? Let's have you come into contact with it.
Do touch the thing you're afraid of.
Right.
And so that make-believe camping trip in the hotel, it's a shortened version of a real camping trip where Grayson leads patients through exposure to their own fears. So it's into the hotel parking garage, kicking the tires of cars for people who are afraid they will compulsively damage property.
Could you do this? Okay.
And there's a session for people obsessed with the fear that they will commit murder, exposing them here to an actual opportunity to do so, showing them that they don't really want to kill anyone. But for Fay, the big challenge was going to be the outdoor part of it, because just imagine the germs. And then Dr. Grayson comes up with a shocker. Flash back a moment. Remember that Purell she carries everywhere? Well, watch this.
Is there anybody here with contamination problems who is holding a bottle of Purell? You don't have to do this, but you don't have to get better either.
The doctor just took away my hand sanitizer. I'm feeling really nervous about that because now I feel like I have no safety net.
Next step, shake hands with a homeless man.
So my question is, how you guys feel about dumpsters?
Yes, dumpsters, the ultimate symbol of everything that is filthy. And here they were being asked to touch garbage, to run their hands along the side of the dumpster. And Faye, she steps up.
Come on, you can do it. Good job.
My heart was racing and all I could think about was the possibilities for all the horrible things that could happen.
Come closer. Come close, very close.
Afterwards, there was a group hug, another chance for germs to pass from person to person. And then from Dr. Grayson, a pep talk of locker room quality.
Remember how much it is stolen from you, how many times you've been humiliated because of your OCD. How many times there's something you wanted to go to and you didn't get to go. How many times you wanted to be in a relationship and your OCD stood in the way. That if you have family or loved ones, how many times you basically, no offense, tortured them.
What do you mean by that?
You made them do your rituals, you yelled at them. You're beginning to try to take your life back.
I don't even really remember what exactly he said, but just to remember how the disease has stolen so much from us. I don't know what hit me. I just got really emotional and a few tears, and it's very emotional for me.
Well, that night was more than 5 months ago now. Faye has kept touch with us, and I paid a visit on her at home just the other day.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Doing
Good to
great.
see you again.
Likewise.
She is really into guitar, as you can see.
I have been able to shorten my hand washing ritual.
And she has made progress with her OCD. Her morning routine is down to 5 minutes now from 20 minutes. And then we went out so she could show me something. At a local coffee shop she frequents, there is her old nemesis, a door handle.
And in the past, what would you have done?
I'd have used the cuff of my coat or a bleach wipe.
Anything but directly touching something like in its natural state, let's say. Okay,
Yeah.
so go ahead. Here she goes.
And that is progress.
She did it.
OCD is never really cured because, watch this, the management had placed a bottle of Purell near the register, and look at this lightning quick move.
I saw that.
Hey, someone else's stash.
It's somebody else's stash.
But OCD can be managed in Faye's case to where she can now go out like this. And even at her doorstep, she shook my hand and she told me this time it was fine. And I believe her. I'm John Donvan for Nightline in Sartell, Minnesota.